financially mostly, from what I see. Cause it's all about, everyone wants to be a big shot, but they gotta pay the price. You know, they have to know how to handle defeat.
If I'm not mistaken, a 92-pound weight difference, almost a 100-pound weight difference. It's insane. Let's say he comes in at 200 pounds. It's still a 65-pound weight advantage, which is absolutely ridiculous.
I don't know what's going to happen with a 135-pounder going up against a 200-pounder. I think it's not a real fight.
Mike Tyson isn't holding back on Jake Paul's latest claim about beating Gervonta Tank Davis. The legendary heavyweight, famous for both his blunt words and knockout power, fired back after Paul said he could beat one of boxing's most dangerous fighters. Tyson, who has both praised and criticized Paul's career, reminded him that facing a pound-for-pound star like Davis is no joke. He made it clear there's still a big gap between being an internet celebrity and being a true boxing great.
Quite surprised because it sounded like Jake Paul and Anthony Joshua was getting closer and closer for January. However, there have been rumours of Gervonta Davis versus Jake Paul in the past. I think with Gervonta Davis's kind of legal problems in the last month or so and rumours about his retirement, I don't think it's a massive shock that he is taking this Jake Paul fight if it is going to go ahead, purely for the reason that it's a lot of money for maybe not the most difficult job that he's going to have in his career. So it's a strange one, but yeah, it's just another kind of day in the sport, really.
Jake Paul and Gervonta Davis are set to face off on November 14th at the CASSA Center in Miami, Florida. The fight was originally planned for Atlanta, but moved after Georgia's athletic commission raised concerns about the big weight difference between the two fighters.
Oh my days. Jake Paul versus Tank Davis. Is this real? This can't be real. Because he was talking about fighting Joshua, which is heavyweight, and now he's saying about fighting Tank. Nah, this can't be. It's Netflix as well. I need to go and do some checks and see if like the main pages have posted this, but Jake Paul's posted it. It says Friday, November 14th. It's in Atlanta, State Farm Arena. This is random, no?
Jake Paul comes in with 12 wins, 7 by knockout, and just 1 loss. Starting as a social media star, Paul has turned his fame into a real boxing career through headline-making fights and smart business moves.
People are like so fucking insecure. Kind of lost myself in the whole entertainment world. And so when I found boxing, it gave me that like routine, that discipline. I got to like take time for myself in these boxing camps. And every day for training, I had to like meditate. And boxing gave me the ability to like reflect on myself and like realizing who I was and who I wanted to be. And that helped me mature. You get addicted to that validation from others. And that's something that I realized that I had to face. And like, why do so many people want clout? I'm not good enough. I need followers. I need likes. It's driving a lot of our generation because they're working so hard to get this external validation.
Gervonta Davis is undefeated with 30 wins, 1 draw, and a long list of knockouts. He's the WBA lightweight champion, but that title won't be on the line here because of the size gap. Since the fight is billed as an exhibition, some usual rules like weight limits, round structure, and regulations are more flexible and depend on which commission approves the event.
25 is at the next year. I'm out of it.
After our second fight, you're out of it?
Yeah.
Care to elaborate on that?
Out of the sport.
After our second fight. Nah, no, I'm gonna win, bro.
Nah, I could tell you my fights.
Who do you think will win between Jake Paul and Gervonta?
But I don't know. It should be Gervonta, right? But the weight size and everything, we'll see. It's a fun entertainment.
Mike Tyson, who has already shared the ring with Jake Paul, has warned him to be careful ahead of the Davis fight. Tyson knows the intensity of fighting Paul, but also understands the dangers of facing someone as fast and powerful as Davis. While Paul has size and youth, Tyson says Davis's speed, skill, and knockout punch make him a serious threat. Tyson's warning shows real concern that Paul may underestimate how dangerous Davis is. For Tyson, the fight will attract huge attention. But Jake has to balance the spotlight with the real physical risks.
I think Gervonta Davis is probably the greatest fighter around now, but he's got a tough fight coming up. You know, he's the top dog. There's no doubt about it. He's showed that. But Barrios, he's a pretty good fighter. Last time I saw him fight, he was pretty durable.
Promoter Eddie Hearn has also raised alarms about the matchup, saying it's not just a show. He believes the fight could be badly one-sided when it comes to risk and safety, and that Paul might leave the ring with serious damage. Hearn admits the money and hype are massive, but warns that the mismatch could ruin Paul's career plans, including a future fight with Anthony Joshua. For Hearn, the danger outweighs the rewards. He puts the fight at 50-50, but makes it clear Paul is risking more than his record. His health could be on the line.
Gervonta's going to fight Jake Paul in November. And then we'll see what happens if there's an AJ fight. Be interested to go from Gervonta Davis to Anthony Joshua, but I don't think the Chavez fight is terrible. I think it's a smart bit of business.
I think it's extremely dangerous for Jake Paul. You know, I've got the general feedback is the boxing world saying, please AJ, go in and evaporate this young man from the boxing world so we can all get on as normal. You've got Jake Paul fans thinking bizarrely they can beat Anthony Joshua. And the most bizarre thing out of everything is that Jake Paul genuinely believes he will beat Anthony Joshua. I think that's the only reason we're going to see this fight, but I truly believe you're going to see it at the beginning of 2020.
Former super middleweight champ Carl Froch has also voiced safety concerns, pointing out the estimated 65-pound weight gap. Paul has been fighting close to the 200-pound cruiserweight limit, while Davis competes at lightweight, around 135 pounds.
I don't really take Jake Paul that serious. He can't really box. He can have a little fight, he can have a swing. He swings away, he stands up straight and he throws punches, but it's not professional boxing. Because when I watch him box, he's just so much wrong. It's just everything's wrong. He's so bad. He's got leaky defence. He telegraphs his punches. Like, you put him in with someone his own size, who's a professional, and it's a mismatch. And you'll see that if he ends up fighting somebody. Tommy Fury, bless him, he's a pro boxer, but he's inexperienced. He's got no amateur pedigree. He's a raw novice, or maybe just above the raw novice. I was saying earlier, where would I put him in terms of levels? He'd do well to win a British title. He's at that sort of level, and then from British title to world level, it's like different worlds. It's like totally different. It's like a different sport.
Froch argues that in a normal boxing setting, this fight wouldn't even be approved because of the risks. He knows Davis has never taken punches from someone as big as Paul, and one heavy swing from the bigger man could cause real damage.
My name was mentioned at his press conference and he shit himself, and the fight was just absolutely fucking diabolical. Again, I've said before, he's not a professional boxer, he never will be, and he proved time and time again that he's not a professional fighter. So, Jake Paul, go on, piss off.
Carl Froch admits Davis has the skills, footwork, and pacing to control parts of the fight, but doubts he can really hurt Paul with his power. Still, Froch says Paul's big size advantage makes the matchup dangerous.
Just here at Los Naranjos in Viva, España, and I found out that Gervonta Davis is now fighting Jake Paul. So Jake Paul was supposed to be fighting AJ. Eddie Hearn announced 99% done, which we've just spoke about. What next for AJ? Potentially Jake Paul. But it now looks like that Jake Paul is fighting one of Anthony Joshua's legs. He's fighting Gervonta Davis, somebody who's a quarter of his size. I don't even know what's going on. Has Eddie Hearn been played? Let me know what you think, but the AJ fight with Jake Paul's finished. Gervonta Davis, fake Paul, November. I don't know what's going on in the world of boxing. This is an absolute joke. What next for AJ? We'll get into this, and there's so many questions I want to get into in the next episode, but I hope you enjoyed this one. And yeah, just thought I'd give you a quick update because the news has just come in. I'm just trying to relax and play a bit of golf, and I can't. I've got to get it off my chest. I'm going to add it to this video. Hope you enjoy it. Don't forget, if you haven't already, hit like, share, and subscribe to the best channel in the business, Froch on Fighting, and we'll see you very soon.
Chael Sonnen, on the other hand, doesn't see the fight as a total mismatch. On his YouTube channel, he said, "It's not as bad a fight as you guys think," contrasting it with the rumored Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua bout. But Sonnen pointed out a big issue. Davis doesn't know how to sell a fight. According to him, Tank struggles to hype his own matchups, whether it's a title defense or a main event, making this fight less exciting from a marketing
exact opposite is happening. The opposite of fighting Anthony Joshua is not fighting nobody. The opposite of fighting Anthony Joshua is fighting Tank Davis. Okay, So, there's one big glaring issue for me. It's just your partner being Tank Davis. Tank is not the guy that knows how to sell a fight. Tank cannot sell a fight in his own division. It could be a title fight, a contenders fight, a main event fight. He could be the favorite, he could be the underdog. Tank doesn't know how to bring that information to you guys in a way that is compelling. And Tank is already blinking in this situation. You have one guy who is argued amongst the pound for pound current greats in boxing. You have another guy that has suggested he should not even be allowed to box, that he should have to call it something different. He should not be licensed. He should not be ranked in the top 14. He should never be selected for a world title.
Joe Rogan has consistently defended Jake Paul's skills in the ring. He argues that most criticism comes from Paul's celebrity background, not his actual boxing. Rogan points out Paul's sharp technique, power, and clean offense, saying nothing about his fights looks fake or staged. Over time, he believes even skeptics are starting to recognize Paul as a legitimate boxer.
If Jake Paul wasn't Jake Paul, if he wasn't this YouTube guy, he was just a boxer, and you see a boxer knock out the former UFC welterweight champion, not just the former, but one of the best ever, knock him out with one punch like that, like, oh man, have you seen this Jake Paul dude coming up? He's fucking for real. Because nothing about watching him fight, to me, screams like he's in over his head. Nothing. He looks like a real boxer.
Critics, however, say Jake Paul's career choices tell a different story. His victory over 58-year-old Mike Tyson is often seen as more spectacle than sport. Many argue Paul is chasing headlines instead of real challenges. Carl Frock and others dismiss the win as unimpressive, suggesting Paul's rise is built more on entertainment than genuine boxing skill.
Jake Paul, you've lost your mind if you think you can go toe-to-toe with Anthony Joshua. Listen, let's not get confused, guys. Let's not get confused. Yes, cool. Anthony took a big L with Daniel Dubois, but Daniel Dubois is not no joke, bro. He's not a joke. You know what I'm trying to say? He took a L there, but Jake Paul, I got the utmost respect of what he's done, how he's managed to navigate through the boxing world. Like, bro, it's so mad. And I can see this is like a 90%, it's happening, it's positioning, it's marketing already. Like, why would you see Jake Paul go face to face with Alexander Usyk if it's not to position for a fight for Saudi? Obviously, Jake Paul's gonna fight Anthony Joshua. There's possibly gonna be a Usyk against Tyson Fury 3, because obviously the last two were so close. But you never know. It can also be a Usyk against Derek Chisora. You know what I mean? You never know.
Rumors are swirling that Jake Paul could face Anthony Joshua in early 2026. Paul's manager, Nakiza Badarian, confirmed talks are happening and even mentioned Wembley Stadium as a possible venue. Paul keeps calling out Joshua, saying he believes he can shock the world with an upset win.
Everyone's been wanting to see happen. Who will be the king of the United Kingdom? And who will be the queen of the United... Too soon? I'm praying that boxing doesn't happen to this fight. And what I mean by that is politics. People trying to take more money than they deserve. Fuck the money, get in there, make fucking history. This is one of the biggest fights that could happen over this past decade. Make it fucking happen, Eddie Hearn. Make it fucking happen, Frank Warren. Make it happen, Tyson. Make it happen, Anthony Joshua. We don't need fucking excuses. Don't let boxing ruin this fight. Get in the fucking ring and fight like men.
Eddie Hearn, Joshua's promoter, says the fight could bring massive attention and money. But critics warn Joshua risks damaging his reputation if he fights Paul, whom many still see as an entertainer, not a top contender. Meanwhile, Paul is fueling the buzz, painting himself as a dangerous wild card in the heavyweight division.
Let's talk about AJ ever so quickly. I watched Jake Paul the weekend. I feel a bit dirty saying that because I'm not a fan of his, but he did say after the fight that he's sort of having DMs or he's dropping text messages to AJ. They're having a chat about a potential fight. What's your view on that, Eddie?
Well, look, he's calling out Gervonta Davis, who is a 135-pound lightweight, and he's calling out Anthony Joshua, that's a heavyweight monster. I think Jake Paul is crazy enough to fight Anthony Joshua because the money would be absolutely obscene. It's a catastrophic mismatch that people would tune in to watch because it would lead to the end of Jake Paul. Hopefully not literally, but it's that dangerous that, you know, it's a fight that I don't think should really happen, if I'm honest. I would say about Jake Paul, and I've said this in a couple of interviews today, I do think you start after giving him a margin of respect. You know, I think this guy is going through the motions, he's putting the hard spars in. He just went 10 rounds with, yes, a washed-up fighter, but a former world champion that did train for that fight, but they're very clever in terms of the opponents they pick. They're not going to gamble unless the money's out of control. And it wouldn't surprise me if Jake Paul, wanted to move forward with an Anthony Joshua fight. Honestly, AJ's coming tonight. He's not exactly looking at Jake Paul going, oh, that's my dream opponent. Would he go in there and give him a hiding for, you know, a massive chunk of money? Probably. I'd be saying, yeah, go on.
Stephen A. Smith has been one of Jake Paul's toughest critics, blasting his choice of opponents as to old or not elite. He says Paul hasn't yet proven himself against boxing's best. Paul fired back, claiming Tommy Fury turned down several offers before finally fighting him in February 2023. That match was one of Paul's few tests against a prime professional boxer, and he lost by split decision, his first and only official defeat.
Are beating up on dudes who don't box. They're not boxers.
I was on Disney Channel while these guys were winning UFC championships.
Okay.
You know, I was playing with Mickey Mouse while these guys were throwing arm bars and winning UFC championships. Everyone's, you know, analyzing my career, critiquing it, paying attention to it from day one, but you can't tell me who was Mike Tyson's first fight. You can't tell me who Muhammad Ali, who was his fourth fight. No one knows, but everyone's seen all of my fights. I tried to fight Tommy Fury. Yeah, I tried to fight Tommy Fury and he backed out due to rib injury. Undefeated, young prospect. He comes from the Fury family. You know, his brother's a heavyweight champion of the world. I tried to fight him and he got scared.
Smith also criticized Paul for fighting Mike Tyson, saying if Paul is serious about boxing, he should face opponents his own age and level instead of relying on aging legends with years more experience.
And buy the hype at this particular moment in time. Now, I'll give Jake Paul credit for this. At least he's in the ring with a boxer. But 57 years old is 57 years old. And 57 years old and formally walking into a UFC fight as an audience member, as a patron with a cane, it's hard to believe a year later that you're going to be in any condition to really fight. I hope I'm wrong, but I don't know. And if you're Jake Paul, here's what I want to say to you. It's Mike Tyson, that's fine. It's a money fight, I get you, and you want to make money. But at some point in time, if you keep telling us that you're taking boxing seriously and you want to be recognized as a big-time boxer / fighter, you're going to have to fight somebody closer to your age, who is a contender at the very least in the sport and who lives with it every single day. Could you please get in the ring with somebody? Pretty please with sugar on top. I'm interested.
What did you think about the fight, Jake Paul?
I hate it. And Jake Paul's starting to piss me off. Mike Tyson is 57 years old, man. Jake Paul been training with professional boxing trainers for years. He takes the sport very seriously.
Thank you. So let me ask you, that's the question I have, because great kid, great businessman, by the way, amazing. And I know how he does all this, the character and the persona. We keep saying that he doesn't want to be a boxer. He's not a boxer, but then
Jake Paul is a boxer.
Yeah, exactly.
That's my point.
Exactly. He's a boxer.
He can fight. He can fight. I respect it. So go in there against fighters. You should be climbing the ladder towards those other fighters and taking the sport seriously to the point where you're fighting actual boxers. Now he decides to fight a fighter, a real fighter, which is Tyson. But Tyson is 30 years older. Stop this nonsense of going against dudes that either ain't boxing or is 25 years removed from the sport.